With us now from Capitol Hill, we've got the chairman of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security, Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. Ron, great to see you as always. A lot to catch up on. Let's start, though, in Texas. Reports at NBC News confirming that this ISIS-inspired attack in Texas was in fact connected with ISIS. Do you agree that more should have been done beforehand to track these two suspects? We're hearing that from Peter King. What do you think?
Well, in a perfect world, we would know exactly who is going to carry out these attacks and who's most suspect, so we could provide that kind of surveillance. The problem, Joe, is as people said, you know, we're looking for a needle in the haystack, and the problem is the haystack's getting bigger, and there are a whole lot more needles. We're going to have a hearing on this, not the particular attack, but on, we're calling it Jihad 2.0. and how ISIS is inspiring people using social media. We're going to have witnesses that are going to be talking about there are 46,000 overt ISIS support accounts on Twitter alone. That's a best guess, possibly as high as 90,000. So how do you keep track of that? And of course, this is how ISIS makes connection with people that are supporting it, and then they'll go offline and they'll go into these encrypted email accounts, and they go dark, and we can't even track them. So this is a very serious threat, and we don't know. It's very difficult to keep track of these folks.
You know, Peter King suggesting more aggressive surveillance of mosques and Muslim Americans, but of course you have civil rights questions there, and you also have the question of whether we aren't creating a more difficult situation and creating possibly more acts of terror. How do you balance those two?
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to ask the members of those communities to keep their eyes open. You know, we've talked to individuals that are going to those communities and just trying to talk to those folks. And because of, for example, the revelations of Edward Snowden, everybody assumes the federal government has perfect information and that the federal government knows who is susceptible in those communities to jihad. And so they were surprised as they were being talked to, the members of those communities, that we didn't know who the young people were that were on these social media and they were possibly susceptible to this. So the bottom line is, DHS has got this program. If you see something, say something, and that's true. So we're hoping that in those communities, people police them themselves. If they see young people being drawn to this, that they've got to say something. They've got to alert authorities.
Senator, you obviously made news with your questioning of Hillary Clinton in the last Benghazi hearings. What are your thoughts this morning as we hear she's going back to the Hill?
Well, Secretary Clinton has an awful lot to explain. I always hear, even in your opening, you said a heated exchange. Not from my part. I was just asking some pretty simple questions. Why didn't you get on the phone and call the survivors? You would have found out immediately there was no protest, that attack didn't spring out of some protest. You could have told the American people the truth. And bottom line is, now's the time for Secretary Clinton to tell America the truth. Why did she, as head of the State Department, why did she not ramp up security in a very dangerous situation in Benghazi? There were repeated requests. Those requests not only went unanswered, they actually ramped down security, basically to comply with the narrative that all was well, that their strategy was working. Nothing could be further from the truth. So Secretary Clinton has a lot to answer for her dereliction of duty that I believe ended up resulting in the loss of four Americans' lives.
Senator Johnson, Dorian Warren here, switching gears for a little bit. As you know, the Attorney General, Loretta Lynch, is heading to Baltimore today. You were one of only 8 Republicans to vote in favor of confirming her. Can you tell us why?
Well, elections matter. I think a president has got an awesome responsibility, and barring some disqualifying event in their past, I think basically presidents ought to be given the benefit of the doubt and be able to staff their administration with the people they want. And the fact of the matter is President Obama was not going to nominate an attorney general that didn't agree with his views. So from my standpoint, I think Eric Holder has been a disastrous attorney general, and I'm hoping that Loretta Lynch is going to be an improvement over Eric Holder.
Okay, Senator Ron Johnson, thank you for being on the show.
Have a great day.
Coming up, he is the lead.